nation under Goff, moving the chains with the fire of the city coursing through our veins. Hey, invisible spirit, above them will crack. We got the whole league's targets on our back. Watch the war room flicker, watch the vision take hold, turning late round flyers into Detroit gold. He's the master of the board, the dealer of the deck, putting every expert opinion in check. Put every expert opinion in check. He does. Hutchinson, he goes down again.
All right, what's happening, Lions fans? It is officially Camp Day number 1, and Dan Campbell is going to be on the mic here in just a few moments, and we're going to bring him in as soon as he gets rolling. It's scheduled here for 8 a.m. We know how it is for the Lions, man. They could be a little bit late, but we'll find out. There's a couple of questions already in the Lions chat, wondering if one said the Lions media needs to stop being soft and ask tough questions. I mean, I guess I've kind of said the same thing. Like, they need to ask some better questions. I don't know about being soft, but and then also, are we going to get any answers on Kirby's injury today? Like, I think that's key, right? Is that actually going to happen? Are they going to tuck the weenie and hide it and not tell us anything? It is possible. Let's just play a round of I bet you will, or I bet they will. Whatever. We're just gonna play a game. How many of you think Dan Campbell is gonna say we're a couple weeks away? Put a thumbs up in the chat if you think he's gonna say we're a couple weeks away on Kirby's injury, or he's close. We just don't want to push it. We don't want to risk it. That's number 2. Or do you think he's going to say, we don't think Kirby's going to play this year? What do you think? Let's just hope it's not number 3. Let's just hope it's not number 3. All right, Dan Campbell's on the mic. Here we go.
Did a hell of a job, man. We guys really did a hell of a job, man. Guys really
obviously
did a hell of a job,
late.
Man. Everybody made their weights and passed the conditioning test. We looked good, all but one guy. So ready to go. Obviously, not pads today. We'll work them up. We're in acclimation. This is hour and a half practice, but we're really ready to go. So. It's hard to believe we're in year 6 for us. Guys are excited. Coaches are excited. And so it begins. So I'm going to open this up. Is Paula in here?
Nope.
The one day? Dude, unbelievable. I was going to give her the first question. Okay, all good. All good. This is like the one day she's never made it. Okay, no worries. Okay, questions.
We start with the 5 injury guys. I think we probably expected Branch of.
Holy shit, we got audio. I can't believe it. We got audio. Let's see if it lasts throughout the season.
Of all of them, but the other 4, where's Kirby at for you in terms of
first
being
question of the day.
Ready at some point this camp? And then the other 3, Izzy and Mahogany and Conklin, any long-term concerns with any of those guys?
Okay, Kirby, everything that I told you in the spring still applies to that. We've been working to this, but we're still in this. Okay, he's running on ground, man. We're starting to change of direction, some of this, but we're not going to grind this for another 2 or 3 weeks, man. So
there it is.
I cannot give you a true answer. He's working his tail off. He's not really had a vacation. He's been here.
Uh-oh. What happened? What the heck just happened? Uh-oh. Something just happened. Give me 1 sec. I'll be right back.
Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jameer Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap back.
Ready to go. So, it's hard to believe we're in year 6.
Sorry about that.
For us, guys are excited, coaches are excited, and so it begins. So I'm going to open this up. Is Paula in here?
How's the audio on your guys' side? Is it too loud?
The one day.
Is it good enough?
Dude,
I haven't checked
unbelievable. I was going to give her the first
Sorry,
question.
I had to rewind it a little bit.
Okay, no worries. Okay.
Expected branch of guys. I think we probably expected branch of. We start with the 5 injury guys. I think we probably expected branch of all of them, but the other 4. Where's Kirby at for you in terms of being ready at some point this camp? And then the other 3, Izzy and Mahogany and Conklin. Any long term concerns with any of those guys?
Okay, Kirby. It'll everything that I told you in the spring still applies to that. We've been working to this, but we're still in this. Okay, he's running on ground, man. We're starting to do change of direction, some of this, but we're not going to grind this for another 2 or 3 weeks, man. So I cannot give you a true answer. He's working his tail off. He's not really had a vacation. He's been here with our guys, busting his tail. So he's putting in the work. He feels pretty good right now. But we got a long way to go, and there is still an unknown. But I like where he's at. We like where he's at. Branch is doing well. His will be obviously PUP. There's no setbacks.
That's great.
Take it as it comes, and we'll see. I'm sure late training camp, maybe early September he can start practicing. We'll see. But he's doing well. Who else? Izzy just had a little flu bug. We're going to make sure he's good to go. Hopefully by Friday we get him in practice here. Mahogany needs a couple of days, and then he'll be ready. Who else? Oh, Conklin. Conklin's going to probably be about 2 weeks here, somewhere in there. He's running. He got a little calf back in the spring. We're hopeful. No setbacks.
I missed Conklin.
We're trying to be smart with him, but hopefully get him back as soon as possible so we can get some reps on him. Am I missing anybody? I think that's it, right?
Kirby, is it what is sort of the plan of when you want to get him out or when you think you need to get him out before camp to give him that balance of getting ready, but seeing seeing how much he can do?
Well, I've already. To me, if we got him back for the first game, that would be a bonus. I mean, that would be whoa, okay, I don't expect that. I'm not looking for that. I feel like he's more on the branch plan a little bit. And that's if everything goes well and everything goes according to plan with him and we got everything on our side. But he's doing well.
That's the other, issue of the offseason. Obviously, you guys made the decision to part ways with him. Can you just address that and why you decided to go that route and what changed from the last time we asked you about him?
Yeah, so I addressed the team last night over that. It stinks. You never want to let go of a player, especially somebody that you've been around for a while here and you drafted and all that. And it's unfortunate, but we made the move we felt was best for us.
Concerned with filling that spot and some of the guys you got as far as filling that segment?
No, we're fired up. Look, it's why we got Rock back. We went and got McCrary. We knew we'd get Rake back off injury. We drafted Abney. Certainly Dorse is back. So, Ironsides is back. We feel pretty good in that room of the competition and those guys between veterans, young guys, and ability.
Pretty good. rewarding your top guys, rewarding all the top guys. Obviously, you got some extensions coming up. Jameer Gibbs, kind of the talk of the offseason a little bit. Is it any concern that might lead over into anything at all? Is that something you guys want to do sooner than later, or just what's kind of the update on his situation?
No, I would say, of course, you guys know how we feel about Gibbs and all of our guys, Laporta, Brandt, and so we'll take this as it comes. This is, this will kind of continue. It'll come as it comes. I think that's the best way to say it. And so, this is both sides working through something, and we'll take it as it comes. But that's where it is.
And obviously, you guys did a lot of revamping on your offensive line. How soon do you think you'll know what you have there, how it lines up, and are you confident it will be significantly better than last year's?
Joe, it's a good question. I wish I could tell you we're going to know within 3 or 4 days. I know this. We got 4 days before we even get to pads. So there's a week that you're not going to truly know. So you don't know. I know this as fast as we can get them in the secondary to work together. Okay, these are the guys. Now we need them to work together and get as many reps as we can. So look, we're trying to figure this out as fast as we can. It's pretty exciting, really. It really is, because there's a lot of unknown, but we really like the guys in the room, and we feel like it's kind of like we just talked about with the DBs. It's a good veteran group in some areas, but yet young guys that are unknown, unproven. They got an opportunity. So yeah, I feel like what comes out of that room, those 5, is going to be better than what we had last year. Is going to be an upgrade, and not just a little. I believe that.
Abney and McCreary, you talked about them as kind of nickel first guys when they first got in the building.
Who's that? I'm sorry.
Abney and McCreary.
Yep.
Does the plan change at all with them? I know you've talked about the ability to flex outside. Is there an early camp plan to maybe see what you got there, just in light of shifting personnel at the cornerback?
Well, they will take some outside reps. McCreary's played out. Look, so was Abney in college. Now I know he just stepped into our building, but they'll take some of those outside. But we still want to, let them sink their teeth into some of this nickel. And look, we're going to let Rakestraw take a little nickel too on some of this stuff and see where it is. But all those guys got to be prepared to go outside. The guys we know who will stay outside right now are Reed and Rock, and then those other guys need to be able to, let's see if they can do some stuff inside. Yes, sir.
It seems like the staff has been pretty steadfast that he's an outside corner. Just what have you seen from him in your first 2 years that makes you think that that's where he will stick eventually?
Well, there again, the injury, just kind of the injury history with him has not allowed us to really see everything that he can do. But we know that's where he banked a lot of reps in college, was outside. He's got excellent feet, his hips, his change of direction. He's got ball skills. He can track the ball down the field. So there's just things that he's got about him, and there's a natural ability to him that you feel like is conducive to playing outside, and that's probably where he'll have most of his time. But yet, let's see what he can do inside too. Look, he's going into year 3. Although he hasn't banked a ton of reps, it's just, man, there's you begin to mature and you grow, and we feel like just from what he is internally, I'm not talking about the football player, but just you mature, you grow, you learn, and so we're pretty excited for him this camp to see what he's got.
All the drives that you have into this facility, all your first days, I think you've said excited, 10, 15 times already, which we expect, and you should be. But what makes the excitement for this year, this first day, unique?
Man, I don't know. This feels like there's a little bit of a transition. Like this is there's a newness to it, and there's a reset on, it's a little bit like, okay, we still have our core crew, the guys that you guys know that have been here since 21. And then we've stacked on top of that. but then we made some moves here, you know, particularly this year, this off season, and so there's a newness to it. There's a little bit of a youth movement that's up to us to get these guys developed, and that's pretty exciting. But also knowing, man, I want to get back to what we did in 22 a little bit, you know, and some of 21, probably more 22, but just get back to the basics of what we are, and so that's exciting. That's exciting. And to know you're cutting these guys loose, these guys that were puppies at one time, it's all theirs now. It's all Saints and Souls and Hutch and Jack. You know, that's exciting. I got you.
You got me? Okay. Okay. So the other day, Kirby Joseph tweeted about Jackson Meeks and said that was somebody that you need to watch out for. And it seems like there's a transition for him from wide receiver to tight end. Do you see this as like a hybrid situation where he could maybe turn a 12, 13 personnel play into an 11 just by going into motion, that sort of thing? Or is it, you know, where do you see him and his growth?
Yeah, I think that's what we want to find out. We want to find out if there's something in there that he could be kind of this hybrid, you know, H-back tight end, big slot, you know, big skill. Felt like his skill set can be showcased better at this role, at this position. You know, ask him things that he does well. Now, look, he's going to have to do some dirty work. There's no way around it in training camp for the reps, preseason games, but there's things that we'll ask him to do to see if he can do it. You know, and we just felt like this gives him the best opportunity to be the type of player that he can be, but also maybe help us see if there is something there. So yes, absolutely.
Dan, obviously today's a beautiful day, but when it is really like hot, humid, like it was a week or two ago, how do you balance getting the work in with player safety? And since you started playing and through coaching, like what's the biggest thing you've learned about, you know, training in the heat?
Yeah, well, we haven't had to do it. I mean, look, I came from New Orleans as a coach last, and I mean, we did everything outside, and we practice early in the morning. Look, we practice early here, so even if it is a hot day, most of the time you kind of avoid it here. But I think the thing to keep in mind is, man, I am so conscientious of that and being smart with our guys, understanding what we have to do. But then remembering back to two-a-days and 3-hour practices at 3:00 in the afternoon, you know, and it was like, dude, you're getting 50 reps in the morning and you're getting 40 in the afternoon. And by the way, you're not warming up or stretching. You better be ready to go. We're not going to waste 10 minutes on stretch for a 3-hour practice. We got too much to do. So I'm not saying we're doing that. You can't do that anymore. But don't forget, man, the body can go. The mind controls the body. You can do more than you think you can do. These guys are in damn good shape, and now we got to get them in football shape, and we'll work them to that.
Hey, Dan, have you made the decision yet about playing the starters in preseason? I know during the last camp you said you was thinking about it more. Have you decided yet that you're going to?
No, not. I mean, look, I would like to, you know, but there again, this thing moves as we get through these practices. You know, what do we look like? Who needs work? Then do they need to play together? You know, are there players that aren't getting enough intensity in practice, you know, and the only way to get them there is they have to play preseason games or we got to go live or, you know, so we'll work around that stuff. Right now I would like to, but we'll see how it goes.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
Middle caught inside the 5. Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap back, looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Amon-Ra, St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions. Snap taken by Mariota. Wants to throw it. Gonna get hit. Gonna get sacked.
Yes,
Take it down. Brian Branch got him second time today.
Nice job.
Hands it to Gibbs, running right, runs through a tackle, gets down to the 10, Gibbs to the 5, still fighting, down to the 2, down to the 1, to the end zone!
Yes.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! He did not quit!
Nice job.
Off to throw again, does, middle, J-Mo, angling to the end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! J-Mo, Hutchinson, he goes down again!
All right, man. Hey, great opening interview with Dan Campbell this morning at Allen Park. Some good questions by the media today. I don't know if they were soft. Look, they got the tough questions, I think, answered. They asked about Kirby. They asked about Branch. They asked about Terry and Arnold. And a whole host of other players and situations happening around Detroit football this time of season. Let's start with the top, man. I was making a few notes. I didn't make enough, though. I'm sure I'm going to miss a few, so I'll survive on you in the chat to remind me on something if I miss it. But let's just talk straight away on Kirby. The other day when we put out the news about Kirby Joseph, and I had mentioned that, this could be a day thing, a 2-day thing, a week thing, whatever, right? It could be a couple weeks. Sounds like that he's on the Branch plan, according to Dan Campbell. The exact words this morning, he's on the Branch plan. Well, the Branch plan, if you heard me the other day, what I had mentioned was I expected Branch to be back by the end of camp or week 1, potentially, simply because we've watched Daniel Jones get ready to roll, and Patrick Mahomes is ready to roll. And both of those players were injured at the same time within 7 to 10 days of Brian Branch. So Brian is not that much further behind. No setbacks, according to Dan Campbell. And that, I think, it speaks volumes of where we are, where we're headed. We could have Brian Branch on the field by week 1. That would be fantastic because right now I think a lot of us are expecting October, right? First 4 games, probably a wash. Starting the season on, like a transitional IR. And then it is what it is. You can put 2 players on IR that can return, designate 2 to return. That's the rule. I thought they changed from 4 to 2 games. I didn't clarify that yet. Didn't have time to look into the rules. But whether it's 2 or whether it's 4, either way, that's, roughly October, right? If it's 4 games, it's definitely October. So that's where a lot of us were feeling that Brian Branch would be back. So Kirby Joseph, if he's on the same plan, then should we expect him back around the same time? My biggest question, follow-up question that I would have had to the question that they asked about Kirby, what is the holdup? What is holding Kirby back? What has he not cleared at this point? Is he running? Is he lifting? Is he doing just rehab, treatment, massage, acupuncture? What is it? Can you give us the detailed plan of what Kirby is doing currently? So it still doesn't make me feel better about Kirby Joseph. And I got to be straight up with y'all. Look, I'm not a doctor. I'm going to try to get that one physical therapist to get back in here. I'm going to reach out to him today and see if he can jump in and bless us with 15 minutes of his time, because what would be happening right now with a player that has not played since week 6 of 2025. I mean, we are almost a year removed from Kirby's. We're about 10 months removed from Kirby's last game. What is holding him back? And look, I get it. I understand the osteoarthritis if that's what it is. Now, the words that Lions media have spoken, Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, and others, words that have been spoken have kind of referred to osteoarthritis, an arthritic condition. And the only arthritic condition that I know of that is really debilitating is osteoarthritis, especially in a knee. Especially. How do I know? Because I have it in my knees. And I have for 5 years. So it's not the greatest start that we're looking for with Kirby, but look, we're still clinging to hope. Right? Let's move on to Christian Izien. Christian Izien's sick right now. That is the player that we're expecting to become the mini BB. Right? He's not Brian Branch. And I'm not saying he can't play the game of football to an elite level, because I think that he can. I watched this film. I think he is a damn good football player. I think he just got sat down in Tampa and relegated down the depth chart. I guess, Bowles had his reasons. I think Izien was a better player than what they had on the field. That's just my opinion. And I'm sure it's hotly contested, and that's okay. Izien being back in a few days is critical for this defense to develop the continuity that we're looking for. The Lions secondary over the last few seasons has really had one good year, and even that good year, that we had back in 2023 wasn't good enough because we started to lose players. And when we started to lose players, things just started to fall apart. Same thing in 2024. Same thing in 2025. Actually, let me back up. 2024 might have been the healthiest year for the defensive secondary. But it was later in the divisional game that the Lions lost Amik Robertson. And that was like the last line of defense. That was like all we had left was our secondary and Jack Campbell. That was it. This has to be the year it comes together. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that don't believe, or maybe they just don't understand or don't know how football really works. It is a hive unit. It's a beehive, right? They all work together. The scheme relies on everybody working together. Everybody has a job independently that is also a job that is incorporated with the rest of the defense working as one. When you lose one player, typically not a big deal. Even if that is a star player like Aiden Hutchinson, typically not a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal to fans, but from a schematic standpoint, from running your defense, not that big of a deal. Don't take that as a wild take. Don't take that as a hot take. I'm just saying the Lions are able to overcome. Just about every team is able to overcome when they lose one star. When you lose another star in the defense, then it starts to get tricky. Because where you depended on those stars to do their job, they become less effective when offenses can key in on you. And now if there's two missing, well, they can definitely key in on everybody at that point. Right? But if you lose a star up front and then you lose a star out back in the secondary, well, things get really dicey. Because now that armor that you've built, that chain link that you've built of connection, well, you dropped the first chain link, you mended it back together. You drop the second chain link, most times you can't mend that back together. So losing Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, Aiden Hutchinson, Lee McNeil, you just go up and down the line. Alex Anzalone, Malcolm Rodriguez in 2024. I mean, there were so many players that were missing that they couldn't overcome. They had to manufacture pressure. They had to blitz all the time just to get pressure, and that's not a good place to live. But see, a lot of fans feel like that was just bad defense. A lot of fans feel like that was bad coaching. It was a triage unit of a defense. And this year, we are hoping that this defense can come in and stay healthy, because when the secondary is healthy, they can produce a lot of turnovers. And when you get the turnovers, Jared Goff gets another opportunity to throw a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs gets another opportunity to run one in. So not having Christian Izien, who has a lot of experience, not having Brian Branch, not having Kirby Joseph, and if it's for any extended length of time, that's a problem. Yep, we brought in Keith Abney. He's a rookie. Look, rookies, I don't care where you're drafted, all require development. Very few and far between does a fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh rounder ever really do anything on the field. Now, last year, New England got lucky. They had 2 fourth rounders and a third, or 2 thirds and a fourth. I think it was 2 fourths and a third, that played a lot of snaps and played in every game or just about every game, and played really well. Well, that was like us in 2023 when we had our 4 first picks in the first, second, and third rounds that played extremely well in a lot of snaps and helped us get to an NFC Championship game. Same thing happened for New England last year. Their rookies led the way. Led by the stars, of course, the starters. But the rookies, they did their job. So this year, starting out with Christian Izien, he's sick. That's good. It's bad, but it's good. Little flu thing going on. I didn't know the flu was around right now. Maybe he was traveling, picked up some bug. Maybe he's got the glory shits from eating some fruit. Whatever happened with that. Then Brian Branch, like we were talking about Brian Branch a minute ago, end of camp, early September. If you're just now joining, this is Rock Down Detroit Lions. I'm your host, Will Rock, and you're on the Rise of Grind Morning Show. Appreciate you guys joining me. We were just blessed with Dan Campbell's first public appearance in over 30 days to start training camp. It is officially day 1 in Allen Park. It is day 2 for our updates. Talked about the offensive line. Offensive line being a huge upgrade. Look, he's not expecting, Dan Campbell, to quasi-quote what he said, he's not expecting a small improvement. Dan Campbell is expecting a big improvement, a massive improvement over what we had last year. And if he feels that way now, what did he say just a couple of months ago? Wasn't doing the hype. I'm not hyping anybody up. He just hyped somebody up. Hyped up the entire offensive line. So if Dan Campbell's having those feelings after he just promised us he wouldn't do any hype, I think I believe in what he's saying. I believe in what he's laying down. And I think that the offensive line is going to be remarkably improved in 2026. From right to left, you're potentially going to have Blake Miller, Tate Rowledge in his second year, second round pick. Blake Miller, first round pick. Cade Mays, 2 seasons of playing center, hasn't let up a sack in 18 games, is definitely improved. He's not Frank Ragnow, but he could be a top 5, top 7 center in the league, and that is fine. That is just commensurate to what the offensive line needs, and Jared Goff just needs stability, right? That's what they need, is stability. On the left side, we don't know about Christian Mahogany, and I don't know if they asked about Christian Mahogany today. I didn't hear it. Let me know in the chat, did you hear anything about Christian Mahogany? Because I didn't hear it. He might have said it in the beginning, but I missed it there too, because I was trying to get this thing to replay. I lost connection for some reason. And then on the left side, Penei Sewell. You just took the number 1 offensive tackle in the league and you put him on the left side where he used to play in Oregon. He'll be comfortable. It'll be a little quirky, a little gitchy, right, to get started, but he'll get rocking and rolling. Going back to the secondary, so Abney is going to be taking the primary outside. We'll take some outside reps, but primary is mostly nickel. So that answers the big question. Can Abney play outside? Yes. Where do they want him? Inside. The Lions are changing, and the article that I put out this morning, I see the defensive signals as leaner, meaner, faster this year. That's what the Lions are looking for. So when you bring in a player like Keith Abney and you put him down in the box, right, or you put him up on the line, you're putting him in nickel. Can he play outside? Yes, but is he twitchy enough to handle the inside? It sounds like it. They're going to find out in camp. The minute that they line him up over Jamison Williams is going to be his biggest test. Even Amon-Ra St. Brown, he might be the slowest wide receiver on the team, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't play fast, right? He plays smart. And I think he's produced enough over the last 5 seasons to prove everybody wrong. Rakestraw, as much as we thought that he was going to be pushed outside at the very beginning of this season, an off season, we were talking about Rakestraw potentially sliding in behind Rock. That's not the case. They're going to give him more reps at nickel than they are outside. It's going to be Reed and Rock on the outside. And that sounds like a law firm to me. Reed and Rock. I should have been a lawyer. I think the biggest thing I'm going to take away from this today, and we'll talk about a few more things. When Dan was asked about how he felt about the season kind of going into today, like what's different, he says he feels that a reset. That it feels different. And, there was a catchphrase that I took out of what he, started with this morning when he said, and so it begins. He said the same thing in, I believe it was 2023. And that year turned out pretty good. I pay attention to a lot of what Dan Campbell puts down. And the little catchphrases that he says end up being more important than anything throughout the season. He's the ultimate motivator. But Dan Campbell, just by saying and so it begins again, tells me he's ready. He feels like this is a changed team. He feels the reset. And I think it's a great reset. Jackson Meeks, this is one of the biggest offseason questions that we had, and the reason why the Lions did not draft a tight end has now come full circle. Jackson Meeks has been talked about in taking some tight end role, some snaps at tight end, learning the role, being in a duality position, receiver and tight end, and that's exactly what it is. Dan feels high about Meeks. Has to do the dirty work, right? What's the dirty work? You may not get targeted often enough. You may not get the ball thrown to you a whole lot. So the dirty work is making sure that you're chipping and you're blocking and you're getting downfield and you're blocking for Jahmyr Gibbs, that you're blocking for the other wide receivers. He's going to do the dirty work. It's going to be hat on hat, less ball. Now, I don't think that the Lions are going to fully commit to not targeting him at all, because then defenses will learn, hey, don't got to cover this guy. He's not getting the ball. So I think that he will get some share of targets as long as he makes the roster, right? In practice, he'll probably get plenty. But the dirty work is what will set this team apart. We need another nasty blocker in that tight end room. Sam Laporta does a good job. Brock Wright does a great job on the line. Downfield, not as much. Sam Laporta is good. He's not great as a blocker. He's a willing blocker. He'll get in your face. And he'll take anybody on. And maybe this year, maybe that resets for Sam a little bit. Hopefully he's not worried about his back. Remember, you're always going to have those ghosts in your closet, skeletons in your closet after an injury. You're always going to wonder if it's enough, right? Am I ready? Am I healed? Is it going to happen again? So we'll see how Sam responds to that right away in camp this weekend. Preseason was probably the biggest thing Dan said today. Now, earlier in the offseason, I had mentioned that I felt like this was going to be a year that Dan was going to put the starters in preseason. And the reason why is because of the way that he has gone through and set up the offseason program, OTAs, minicamp, now leading into training camp. It's been, I hate to use this word soft, but it's been a little softer, right? They're not going as hard. You even heard Amon-Ra St. Brown, if you listened to him a couple weeks ago with the NFL Insiders, had said that during his offseason, taking vacation, he hasn't really practiced a whole lot. Not doing what he normally does. He's taken a step back. And that's because what he had mentioned is, I'm always full go. I'm going all the time. I'm training 24/7. And he said to make sure that my body can last this season, right, and beyond, I'm taking a step back. Not exact words, but you get the point. So where St. Brown is normally all go. Will that have effect on him? Will he be ready to go? He said, once I hit camp, I'm going to ramp it all up. I'm full go, full ramp. Will the offseason program that changed cause any sort of a dynamic shift for how St. Brown performs in 26? We'll see. That's good or bad, right? Will he be better? Will he be the same consistent St. Brown? Or will he take a step back? And does that mean that the offseason program that he changed that? It's yet to be seen. We got the season ahead of us. But I think that kind of encapsulates where this offseason program has been for the Lions. They talked about it at the end of the season and the end of the season wrap-up press conferences that, they're going to look at everything. And then when they came back to the combine and in the draft, that, they reiterated the fact that they're going to do things differently. He wanted to get back to where they were in 22 and 23, the things that they were doing. He wanted to challenge these men at a much different level. And he felt like they kind of forgot who they were. And maybe their image of themselves was darkened. Not exact words. So we'll find out if Dan and Brad got it right. Most importantly, Dan and the rest of the coaches. Did they get it right? No questions were asked this morning about the defense. I wonder why. Why didn't we ask about the defense? Hey, what is the plan on defense? It's not that Dan's going to sit there and lay out the scheme and say, yeah, we're going to do this, 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 and this. But he could have said, yeah, there's going to be some changes. You're just going to have to wait till week 1 or if you join training camp to see it. And even then at training camp, look, it's an hour and a half practice. It's an hour and a half practice today. They don't really show you a whole lot. They barely do 11 on 11. So anyway, I think this is it's been a great start to the season so far. I think our health meter is good. It's not great, but I think we're at a good point. It could be worse, right? We didn't expect Branch or Kirby at all. We didn't. And if you did, I don't know why. But the fact that they could be here much sooner rather than later and on the field, I think that's great. The fact that we're down a couple of guys to start camp, Mahogany, don't know what's going on. Izzy, and we know, is sick. I didn't know that. I'm sorry. I said I missed Conklin. I was thinking of the other Conklin, Tyler Conklin. The fact that he's down too. I mean, look, we've got players that can step up. The guys behind Mahogany are going to get more snaps. That's just what it boils down to. Last night I went through a few things, but this will wrap up the first training camp press conference by Dan Campbell and my reaction and breakdown. And now we'll get into the rest of the day, the rest of the morning. It's 8:43. We'll be right back.
Middle caught inside the 5. Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap, back looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions. Snap taken by Mariota. Wants to throw it. Going to get hit. Going to get sacked.
Yes,
Take it down. Brian Branch got him second time today.
Nice job.
Hands it to Gibbs, running right, runs through a tackle, gets down to the 10, Gibbs to the 5, still fighting, down to the 2, down to the 1, to the end zone! Yes. Touchdown, Detroit Lions! He did not quit!
Nice job.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again!
All right, we're back, and it is the first day of training camp. Dan Campbell just finished up his press conference from 8 a.m. We just broke it down. Now let's get into the rest of the stories. First, I want to jump into the chat and see how everybody's doing this morning. Hope y'all having a wonderful day today, man. It is my 46th birthday today, and I'm here spending it with y'all. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, and quite honestly, I don't have anywhere else to be anyway. But I love being here with y'all, man. You guys are the greatest Lions community on the planet. And so I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you each and every day, each and every season as we continue on in this media journey. I'm still credentialed, so that's a plus, right? Haven't heard anything from anyone. Don't think that I will. I don't have a Lions media credential yet, and I've never applied. And you know, the only reason is I'm not afraid of getting turned down because the likelihood of getting turned down as an independent is likely. There's very few NFL teams out there that have independent media allowance. The Seattle Seahawks do it. Denver Broncos do it. And a few others. Justin Rogers is independent, but he also worked for the Detroit News, I believe, for several years and was able to retain his credential. And he was even worried about it at the very beginning. Based on one of his posts or one of his outputs that he put out prior to doing it 2 years ago, Justin Rogers decided to go independent, and he's had a tremendous outpouring of love from the community, and it's such deserved because he does a wonderful job. And if you don't know where he's at, which I'm sure you all do, it's Detroit Football Network. Detroit Football Network. I think it's .net, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's .net, but you can find him on Substack. Just look up Justin Rogers on Google. You'll find him. So last night, I did my first announcements. So I'm going to do a daily announcements as long as I'm home in the studio and have access. I might have to do some random impromptus from the phone or something like that, which means I need to get some mobile mics. I've yet to buy any good mobile mics. So the point is, every day, every evening, when all the dust is settled, right, when everything is kind of come out, I'm going to try to put together a daily announcement to get us caught up. Now, I'm sure at the moment of saying this, someone else is going to copy me because everything I do, they copy. Just like the clock I started, they took. Just like the intro song that I did, they took. Just like, I mean, so many things that I do, right? They even take my slogans and my call signs and my sign-offs, and they just steal it all. Which is crazy. I mean, look, I've never taken credit for anything that I do because it's been done millions of times before me. I'll never say I'm the best. I'll never say I'm the first because I'm not. And you'd just be a narcissist to think that anyway. There's been so many hundreds of millions of YouTube accounts that have done just about everything on the planet as you can think of. There's not much else left. But to have it done in the same space, the same niche, the same team, that's just wild to me that people are so brazen just to steal your stuff. I mean, even thumbnails at time too. Like there's things that have been stolen from certain channels. It's crazy. It's just crazy. 'Cause I do try to be independent. I do try to be different, and it's not for everybody. You know, my style has changed over the last couple of years after cancer because my voice has changed. My energy has changed. Everything has changed. Even my memory has changed. a lot of you don't know this, or maybe you've heard me say it in the past, but I'm reflecting a little bit at 46 years old today because it's been a tough few years. So I'm like super excited that I'm still here, right? I'm super excited that I'm still here. You know, I get the haters that try to say like I faked cancer. Like, come on, you can't fake cancer. That would be the dumbest thing to do is start a media channel and say you had cancer, then faked it. Like, I can't prove it. Of course I can prove it. We can start with the scar, right? We can start with that. But we can also go to the medical paperwork. I mean, my chart, whatever, you know what I mean, is loaded. So I say that because going on levothyroxine after having my thyroid completely removed, I never thought it was going to be a problem, right? Okay, you're taking a piece of my body, but now I just have to manage it with meds. And I'm saying this because at 46, I want to make sure, like with Rock Down Cancer Foundation, that the big goal there is to bring awareness to people, because the biggest thing I was slapped in the face with about 6 months after surgery, like the first 6 months were going great. Matter of fact, after about a week, I felt more energy. I'm like, now I get it. Like my thyroid was suppressed while, you know, when the cancer was there, and then after, you know, having it removed and then getting ramped up on the right medication, I started to feel great. But then it's like every couple of months, my numbers were getting worse and worse and worse. And I was at the blood center all the time for multiple other things, the hematology for like blood cancers and also checking my levels. But then I started to get heavier, right? I was gaining more weight. I was always up at 5 a.m. I could barely open my eyes at 7. Had to miss a lot of days because I was constantly sick. And so again, it's super important to take care of your body. It's super important to get your thyroid checked. Make sure your doctors are palpating it. I'm not a doctor, but I can speak from experience that my doctor's never checked. And the one doctor I had said I would never have cancer when he looked at the images and saw the nodules, said they were too small. And if I didn't follow up and I scheduled my own biopsy, Lemon Holton at the time would allow you to self-refer yourself into their clinic. And that's what I did. And I was able to get the biopsy done. And then it came back with cancer. 3 days later, I had an appointment with that same endocrinologist that I met a month before, or 2 months before in the hospital, when I was in the hospital for a full week. That was in October of 2021, way before I started doing this. And that's when I first had an endocrinologist, because they thought that I had some sort of a metabolic storm. And that's why I was in the hospital for a week. Couldn't move, couldn't walk, nothing. And I saw him a few days later, and he comes bounding in the room. And he says, "Hey, man, how's it going? Wonderful day. Glad to see you again. What's happening?" And you can imagine, like, I've just got fear all over my face. And this dude has no clue that I have cancer. Now, I sent the report to him 2 days before I had the appointment. How did he not know? And I'm like, dude, you don't have a clue, man. You really don't. I said, I have cancer. The cancer that you said I would never have. And I said, look, the fact that you're unprepared and you don't even know what's going on, I'm out. You're done. You're fired. See ya. And I've been through 3 endocrinologists since then because they're overworked. I even went to Cleveland Clinic for about 18 months, almost 2 years, just trying to get better care. And then you find out that all their doctors just start leaving. And so then you're left having to re-explain everything. It gets wild. So take care of yourself. That's my message on my 46th birthday today. Take care of yourself. Try to get in shape, if you can. Most importantly, you have to see the doctor. You have to ask questions. You want tough questions asked to Brad and Dan and everybody else, you have to ask the questions to your doctor. So that's my message to you guys on my 46th birthday today. Sorry it wasn't football related, but it had to be said. So appreciate y'all. And I thank you guys for joining me. Looks like we just got some big time donations sent in. Hold the phone. Joe Schmo, $50 says, happy birthday, Will. Keep up the great work you do here. I only do it, Joe, because of you, right? Appreciate you, man. That's a huge birthday gift. G Trace sent out some memberships. Looks like we just got 5 new people. Precision Staining, Ophenix, Chris CPO, Tomic, JT's Massive Purpose all got gifted memberships this morning. And she also sent in a $10 super chat. Appreciate you, Trace. Happiest of birthdays to you, Will. Thanks for everything you do. Now, Trace, thank you for everything that you do. Trace has been here since day one and has really held down the fort. Like there's a lot that I've been able to do because of the mods. And I thank all the mods and all the members. But the mods are so important in the very beginning of all this to help manage the riffraff, right? And making sure that we could keep things as PC as possible. Not that we don't want people to have their, First Amendment or anything like that, but we just wanted a really good, clean community. We wanted to develop something that was different. And I could be critical, but I don't need to be a name caller. I don't need to throw people under the bus. I don't need to say, negative, toxic stuff all the time for clicks, because that's not what I'm about. I'm not about rage bait. And so Trace has been here since day one. And Trace, I really appreciate you for everything that you've done. So thank you. But not to make light of all the other mods that have past and present have all been very helpful and are well respected and depended upon. And good people in the community, right? Good people in the community. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all the birthday wishes. I appreciate you guys. So let's get into some more Lions news. Let's do a quick reset and we'll be right back.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
All right. So this morning I pumped out my first article of the day, and I'm just going to read it for y'all. Let me see if this thing's loaded up in here. Might have to fix it a little bit. Anyway, Detroit Lions defensive identity signals are leaner, meaner, and faster under Kelvin Shepard. That is my topic of the day today on July 29th. And I started off by saying that the Detroit Lions, I started off by saying that Kelvin Shepard's defense is preparing to exchange predictable weight for speed, disguise, and positional interchangeability. In my Tuesday analysis, really connected Detroit's plan for increased nickel usage with a faster edge room, Tyleik Williams' body transformation, and the potential pairing of Williams and Ali McNeil as movable interior pieces. And I'll explain some of that. But let me fix this real quick. Every time I add a different source, it has to be fixed. And I'm so close to getting everything finished and locked. So once we get probably another week behind us, I should be good to have everything locked in place. So that way, when I open up any specific source, it's sized, it's all taken care of. You guys should be able to read it. All right, so nickel's going to take control. That's what I think is going to happen here in 2026. I think that this defense is going to play a lot more nickel than what we think. Detroit's played base defense in approximately 60% of its 2025 snaps, dramatically exceeding the league average. Now, the approach placed 3 linebackers on the field, but limited coverage flexibility against spread formations, motions, and receiving backs. We are really planning. Hold on here. Gotta edit this. Try to add my sources, but I try to put them at the end. I don't want them in the paragraphs. One sec. See, if I had a proofreader, they would have caught that for me today. All right. Let's get back into it. All right. So, according to Kelvin Shepard, we said, during the offseason that we are planning to utilize the nickel position more. And he said this, during the offseason work. The declaration, I believe it suggests The 5 defensive back personnel will become Detroit's primary language rather than an occasional response. If you remember over the last couple of seasons, it was a response, right? When the Lions had injuries, nickel was a response. And it wasn't the primary defense or the primary focus to get out there and do what the rest of the league has been slowly transitioning to, which is more nickel. Having, faster guys on the field. And I've been saying that for a long time. More nickel, more nickel, more nickel, more nickel. Go back and watch just about any live stream that I've done during the game. Go back and watch just about any post-game breakdown that I've done. And I will say it in there. We're not doing enough nickel. When we're in the nickel formation and we're running that scheme, we seem to play better. Now, you could potentially give some things up in nickel. But I've got another article that's going to follow this in a couple of days that talks to how the Lions run the post a lot differently than most teams, and how they're able to still, handle the run game while they're in the post and not lose. I'm sorry, they're still able to handle the deep crossers and the deep routes when they're in the post, as opposed to being a nickel. That'll be in a couple of days when I get a chance to go through all the film work it's going to require. But anyway, more nickel, it does not automatically create a softer defense, which is what a lot of people think. Jack Campbell, Derek Barnes, they have to be able to tackle cleanly, right? Defeat climbing blockers, prevent opponents from running Detroit back into heavier personnel. And I think when you have a linebacker like Jack and even Derek Barnes, I was watching some of his film yesterday and when I was going through the calls, Dan Miller calls of the game last year, and watching his interception. There's one thing that I noticed about Derek Barnes that I didn't realize before. That dude actually has some speed to him. He's faster than I gave him credit for. When he caught that interception, he ran 23 yards, and it didn't seem like it was 23 yards. So a lot of credit to the Lions for keeping him around. Now, is he the best linebacker in the game? No. But I think he's much better than what meets the eye, and I think he's a lot better than what we're giving him, well, some of us giving him credit to be. I think he's going to have a big year this year, especially another year removed from that knee injury. The nickel defender, they have to also function as more than just a slot corner, right? More than just a nickel corner. Detroit needs coverage ability. They need run support, which is their primary to stop the run. Pressure timing. They need enough positional versatility to disguise where that 5th defensive back will align in their scheme. Now, the interior, without labels, is kind of just a fancy way of saying, look, I think that this front 7 or really front 4 or 5 or 3, I think that they're going to be interchangeable. I think that there's going to be a lot of hybridness, if that's a word, to the front and how they play it. Because they've gone to a, like I said, more leaner, meaner, faster type of a defensive tackle and the guys that they brought in, especially looking at Skylar Gill-Howard and moving him, Ahmed Hassanin to the big end as opposed to the speed end, the Lions are changing the dynamic of how they're running the games up front. Now, Tyleik Williams said he lost 50 pounds, but it doesn't look like he lost 50 pounds to a lot of people, but I can see it in the face, and I can also see where he added a lot of muscle. There's been some speculation that he was up to like 378 pounds last year. I definitely didn't see that. Watching Tyleik Williams last year, I don't see that at all. But if that's the case, that's the case. Williams' reported weight reduction, again, adds another clue to Detroit's desired identity. A leaner Williams could move between nose, shade, and 3-tech while maintaining the strength needed to withstand the double teams, and I think he'll be able to do that. That's exactly what the Lions expected out of him, exactly what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell both said about him after drafting him, that they felt that he's going to be, a great nose, right? Obviously, the future replacement for Reeder, I expected that. And then moving forward, they also felt that he was going to be more of that dancing bear than a Lee McNeil. And if he's more of a dancing bear than a Lee McNeil, and a Lee McNeil, can average about 6 sacks a year when he plays a full season and he's healthy, where does that put Tyleik Williams? Are they going to put him in a position to win? Are they going to take advantage of the nimbleness that he has in his feet? Maybe they will. It's yet to be seen. Other players that have played the nose position really haven't been that nimble of feet, right? And that fleet of foot, if you will. But Williams is. So we could see a much bigger pressure package up front and try to naturally win with 4 or 5 or 3 at times, more so than really trying to force the linebackers into the mix all the time. I think that what you're going to see is singular blitzers more so than package blitzers. Let me explain that. I think you're going to see a firing corner, a firing safety, a firing linebacker, right? The edge and the front do their thing. But I don't think that we're going to see just wide swaths of blitzers until we go zero blitz. I don't think that we're going to be sending the house anymore. I think that Kelvin Shepard is going to play this very close to the vest, but I also think he's going to play this to where he has more guys that can drop into coverage. And players like Eric Hunter, they change that dynamic in a hurry. If he makes this roster, it's going to be because of his coverage ability. Look, he's great at stopping the run, but his run and cover is supreme. Every bit of tape that I've watched on him, he is great at dropping into coverage. I know a lot of people are going to call into question the talent that he went up against, but I don't think that matters as much as to how he's developed his game. Right? He's very clean. He's still young. Anyway, McNeil already possesses the movement skills to align across the interior. We've seen that over the last few seasons. And pairing these two instinctive tackles without the fixed labels, right? No fixed labels. No labels at all. You're going to be a nose. You're going to be a shade. You're going to be a 3. You're going to do it all, right? You might even push outside. It can complicate protection rules and create favorable matchups at the same time. Detroit can present both tackles in reduced alignments. Then they can slant, they can exchange, or they can loop after the snap. Play those games. Guards and centers need to or must really possess the movement or process the movement, while also accounting for Jack Campbell, Derek Barnes, the defensive back pressure, the safeties. So the concept really collapses if Williams sacrificed functional power, though, which we don't think he did. If anything, he added more strength. Training camp is going to determine whether his body transformation improved in endurance and movement without weakening his anchor. I think Williams is going to be tremendously better this year. Tremendously better. And he wasn't bad last year. If you remember, I compared him to all of the rookies drafted last year at his position. And not only did he produce some of the best numbers, sacks-wise, no, he didn't have a ton of sacks. But the rest of the numbers were commensurate to the guys drafted in the first round and some of the guys drafted in the second round. He was as good or better. Even the 2 Michigan guys, he was as good or better. So we'll see what happens. All right, the rush room, it gets quicker. Detroit rebuilt the edge. They added DJ Wanham, Peyton Turner, second-round rookie Derek Moore, and several developmental rushers. The collection generally requires or carries more speed, direct pass rushing potential than the heavier groups that Detroit has previously favored. If you go back and look at Josh Paschal and some of the other guys that we had out there, I mean, AQM wasn't as heavy. I wish we would have got AQM back this year. Obviously, the Lions weren't going to pay him, but watched some of his tape yesterday. 3 sacks against the Cowboys. Insane game for the dude. AQM, I think, would have been so beneficial to this team. I wish they would have found out a way to keep him. But anyway, the official team watch list identified Wanham as the key camp player because protection should tilt towards Aiden Hutchinson. Wanham has twice produced 8-sack seasons and offers a veteran floor opposite of Detroit's premier edge defender in Aiden Hutchinson. Now, that'll give me a question to y'all. Do you think that DJ Wanham is going to have 10 sacks or more this season? I believe the potential is there. I don't think he needs to have 10 sacks to be successful because I'm expecting the sacks to be spread wide again this year where you're going to have multiple guys producing. I'd rather see 4, 5, or 6 guys getting 6 to 8 sacks by themselves, and then you have, maybe one guy, Aiden or Wanham, that has 10 or more. But again, I'd rather spread that around, and that way you're more creative. Offenses can't plan. They don't know who's coming after them. Moore carries the higher developmental ceiling. I think that's natural being a rookie. And Detroit can begin with selected pass down assignments while expanding his role as his counter moves, lane discipline, and run recognition improve. I still believe he's going to probably be in on more of the rundowns, to begin and give Aiden a break. Unless Peyton Turner develops a lot quicker and is able to get his game back from where he was as coming in as a rookie. Highly touted first-round draft pick. If Peyton Turner is back to his old self, it's probably going to be Peyton and Wanham out there when Aiden's off the field. And then you'll see a mixture of Derek Moore mixed in with all three. The goal really extends beyond sack totals, which I've always said. Consistent four-man pressure allows Detroit to protect the secondary without surrendering its aggression. Secondary obviously has to communicate. Like, the secondary's huge. And we're starting off, a little injured to start the season. But we have some good ball players behind them. The scheme's full ceiling really depends on the defensive backs who can exchange responsibilities without exposing the coverage. Brian Branch, Christian Isian, Roger McCreary, Avonte Maddox provide varying degrees of nickel, safety, and outside corner flexibility. Branch remains on PUP. Isian opened the camp on the NFI list. Kirby Joseph also remains unavailable, forcing now Chuck Clark, Thomas Harper, Maddox to install larger portions of the structure immediately. Where was I? Injuries may require Shepard to begin camp with a smaller menu, but Detroit cannot disguise coverage effectively when the players performing the rotation do not communicate the same assignment. And I think the one thing that we noticed early in the OTA program or minicamp, Chuck Clark is an effective communicator. They were getting their hands on all sorts of balls. I'm not going to get too excited when there's not pads on. I'm not going to get excited in 7-on-7, right? We need to see it in the preseason. And even then, going up against second and third tier players, yes, you should dominate then, right? So I would expect to see them perform at a much higher level, which would lend me to believe that they'll be able to do it against, the better players come week one. Injuries may require, like I said, for Kelvin Shepard to begin camp on a smaller menu. That's fine. More guys are going to get more snaps, and I think that that's beneficial, right? More complexity must produce fewer catastrophic errors, not additional confusion. It'd be interesting to see how complex Kelvin Shepard makes this. The 2025 defense surrendered too many explosives last season. That is the biggest thing that has to change this year. By the way, if you select these buttons that I'm putting in, if you haven't signed up yet on DetroitFootballJournal.com, there's a 25% off group subscription now. So if you want to sign up and give one away, it's 25% off. I think it's like $68 or something like that. But anyway, check it out. Pressure without exposure. Look, a faster defense can really close the passing windows. It can improve pursuit. But speed loses value when defenders abandon leverage, right? We talked about leverage earlier in the offseason. It is going to be a big part of this defense this year. Edges have to contain, right? Tackles must avoid the open cutback lanes, and defensive backs must pass routes without hesitation. Communication. Shepard described adaptability as vital for coaches and players. His personnel decisions indicate Detroit intends to build that adaptability into the structure rather than relying upon week-to-week emergency adjustments. Right? I don't want to see Kelvin Shepard have to go and grab the fire extinguisher this year, right? We don't need that. You don't want that in any year. You want to leave that damn thing behind the case that says, break glass in case of emergency. We don't need those emergencies this year. The transition, though, with all of this is that it places Campbell at the center of everything, and I am 100% good with that. He has to coordinate the front, identify the motion, communicate the pressure, and cover enough space to let Detroit remove that third linebacker while they're in nickel. My overall read on this is that Detroit's personnel trait supports a genuine structural shift rather than a minor sub-package adjustment. More nickel, movable tackles, and quicker edges can modernize the defense. But the injured secondary, may delay that complete installation unless, and I probably should have wrote this, Brad Holmes has hit again in free agency. Campbell and Barnes must keep nickel physical. McNeil and Williams can complicate interior protection. The secondary communication controls the scheme ceiling. I always try to end with a question. Will Detroit's faster defensive identity become a top 10 unit? Or will the secondary injuries prevent the transformation? So that's today's article. Again, if you have not subscribed to DetroitFootballJournal.com, give it a rip. Give it a try. It's you get the free stuff. I do put out free articles, but over the last 6, 7, 8 months, I've been giving out a lot of free comps. You get 30 days comp for free no matter what. I'll take care of you. I'll go in once a week. I see who's subscribed, and then every week I comp their account. And then after that, if you want things that are paywalled, it's only $5 a month or $50 a year. It's not terrible. It does support me and the channel, and it's greatly appreciated. To all of the new subscribers, we had another annual subscriber sign up each day so far this week. So I really appreciate it. And Joe Schmo, I don't know. Are you in DetroitFootballJournal.com? You just donated $50, man. So I would, if you're in there, email me at mailbag@rockdown.com, your email, and I'll get you comped. All right. Quick updates on giveaways. If you guys haven't noticed already on the YouTube posts, one sec, let me get out of the screen. If you haven't noticed already on the YouTube post, like I was trying to say, I'm promoting a Madden 27 game giveaway every week in the month of August. Now, I know we're not in August, but it's time to play. So if you are interested, if you have a grandson or a kid that you'd like to give it away to, whatever, doesn't matter. We'll send it to you if you win, and you can do whatever you want with it. Very simple, easy way to participate. I'm trying to pull this up. Easy way to participate. The rules are real easy. There's 5 different ways to participate. So we have a new Madden 2027 giveaway. First winner is going to be announced on August 9th. You want to help us grow? Then you can win some cool prizes. Here's the rules. You have to complete at least 3 of the 5 ways to enter shown on the graphic. The graphics are different for Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube because they all have different ways of engaging. Each platform, like I said, different requirements. You must participate every week to qualify for the drawings. If you're already subscribed, then comment, right? And then follow DFJ Sports on Facebook or follow DFJ Sports 1 on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Or DFJ Sports on Twitter. If you're already a member of the channel, then that means you are subscribed and you are a member. So then you just have one more thing to do. Comment. Comment in the videos, not the chat, the videos. The live stream comments after the live stream is ended. Comment Madden 27 within your comment, whatever you're leaving, or just put in Madden 27. And then go follow DFJ Sports on X, right? Winners are selected randomly from a verified engagement software, which scans all the eligible subscriptions of my channel, all the follows, all the memberships, any engagement, including comments, follows, likes, shares, and reposts on each different social media. If you complete all 5 ways, your odds actually increase 3 to 1. You get a 1-to-1 chance by doing 3 of the 5. So if you do 4 and 5, that's 2 additional extra chances. Now, it's 100% free. There's no purchase or membership required. But if you do become a member of the channel for, I think it's $3.99 a month, well, then obviously you're spending some money. Or if you decide to, I should have put in here, subscribe to Detroit, Football Journal, which is like $5 a month. then yeah, there's payment membership required or membership payments, but it's not required because you don't have to do any of that to participate. Winners will be selected for each Facebook and Twitter. One winner will be. And winners for YouTube. Oops, I just killed that. Winners for YouTube. 2 winners for YouTube. Game can be for any console or PC. So 1 winner for each Facebook and Twitter. So that's 3 games I'm giving away there. 2 winners for YouTube. So that's 5 total games that I'm giving away. That's what, $300-400 worth of games. Just by helping us grow, and really appreciate you guys participating, giving it a shot. I always try to give stuff away every year. Mini helmets, games, whatever. And we're going to continue to do it. And once we get rolling with some other things, we'll be doing jersey giveaways again this year. We'll be doing mini helmet giveaways again this year. But I might up the mini helmet if I can get my hands on them. There is a mid-size mini helmet that I wanted to do last year, but with everything going on, I didn't do it. So the mid-size is like between the full size and the mini. It's right in the middle. It's I don't have one around me. They're pretty cool. We might do some bobblehead giveaways. We might do some chain giveaways. We might do some other merch giveaways. So stick around, subscribe, but you got to be subscribed to win. That's the one thing that I'm going to change this year. You have to be subscribed to win. If you're not publicly subscribed, then you can't win. Got to put some rules in it. So yeah, K-Biz, I rescheduled Sleeper. We were still 4 people away. So if we don't get enough people, and this is for members. I don't know if they're just not seeing the posts. If you're a member and you want to join the DFJ Sports free PPR leagues or the free Dynasty leagues or the free Keeper leagues, then visit the posts on the YouTube channel because it's under members only. I can't put it out there for everybody to see, for members only. And I really don't want to open it up because your members, that's for you. But if we don't get enough, we're just going to have to play an 8 or a 10 person league instead of a 12. See, I didn't want to go 8 because every team will be loaded, which makes it kind of fun. But I think it tests your skills by going to 12. And in a lot of fantasy football leagues run 12. So we'll know here in a couple weeks. Once we start getting to like the preseason, if we're not full, like I expected to have 2 or 3 leagues full by now. If we're not full, then we'll draft with what we got. And if I have to add 1 member to make it even, then we'll do that. So John Desage, just check out the posts on YouTube. It should be posting like every couple of days to remind people. Damn. It's in there 2 days ago. So if you go look at the post on YouTube, it's in there 2 days ago. It says join the free community fantasy football league. It's on Sleeper. There's the fantasy football league link at the top. You do not have to subscribe to Draft Sharks. You could just get 60% off on Draft Sharks. I'm using Draft Sharks this year, and I expect to win. And that's right. I'm going to win. I'm going to try to win. I'm giving away a $100 gift card or up to $150 jersey for the winner. Most jerseys are about $129, $139, $149. And we're not doing the Vapors. We're not doing the stitched. We just do the traditional jerseys. And so the winner will get that. The second place will get a $50 gift card or a mini helmet. It's your choice. The third place, should have placed higher. You get thanks for trying. That's it. Trying to give stuff away. All you got to do is play. And please don't auto-select. Please be in the draft. And so once everyone is signed up and we have enough people, I will reach out and say, okay, what's the best day? What's the best time? I've been doing Sundays at like 7 o'clock. But I realize, too, that some people could be working third shift. You know, some people could have family stuff. Some people might have late night church, whatever. We'll just work it out together and find the best day. The link doesn't work for you on Sleeper? Why wouldn't the link not work for you on Sleeper? I just clicked it. It works fine. And I really can't send it to you in Voxer because not saying you would do this, but if I send it outside, it then can go to anybody, and then anybody could sign up. You know what I'm saying? Only members can click it. It should work for you. Just text me later today. You can always Vox me your email, and I can always probably get you signed up. No problem. But when you click the link, it just says join link. And the link could have been broken or something. Like maybe there was a broken link in there, but it should be all good. Check the one from 2 days ago. You should be all set. If you have any problems, just let me know. We'll take care of you, Raw. Either way. Yeah, you got to download the app for sure. Trace says, I need another helmet and a jersey. Trace, you've cleaned up on some of these contests. That's why, I've always done everything like with the spin the wheel thing to make it all, transparent. And doing it this way with the AI scrape, I get it. Some people are going to think a certain way, but it's just the way of the world now. And I don't know how to do it any differently than, doing the wheel spins. But on the back end of Nightbot, it has giveaways and I put in keywords and triggers and things like that to give things away. So I need more comments. I need more action for the algorithm. We need more likes each and every day. I got to put up the counter again. We've got to get more likes. We got to get it happening. The season is here. So we have to get rolling and so we can get this thing up. Yeah, I'll be right back. I just got a phone call. I'll be right back, guys.
Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap back, looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Amon-Ra, St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions. Snap taken by Mariota. Wants to throw it. Gonna get hit. Gonna get sacked.
Yes,
Take it down. Brian Branch got him second time today.
Nice job.
Hands it to Gibbs, running right, runs through a tackle, gets down to the 10, Gibbs to the 5, still fighting down to the 2, down to the 1, to the end zone! Yes. Touchdown, Detroit Lions! He did not quit!
Nice job.
Off to throw again, does, middle, J-Mo angling to the end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions! J-Mo flips into the end zone for 6.
Nice job. You talking about gut punch up the middle, then talking about tossing it on the edge, and once you get him out on the edge, Sonic is gone.
Inside the 20, inside the 10, inside the 5, touchdown Detroit Lions, 44 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs putting together a day.
Hat trick. Nice job.
There's your victory formation. Kyle Allen will take the snap, take a knee, and that'll do it. Two teams will meet out in the middle of the field to say job well done, job better done on this day by your Detroit Lions. As for just the second time since 1939, they have come on the road and beaten Washington. They do it today by a score of 44-22. Big bounce back for this football team, coming off an effort they were not happy with.
Nice job.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
All right. Got your text, Robbie. I'll get with you later today. I get to go visit an endocrinologist on my birthday today. A new one. So that's my plans for the afternoon. So I got to get out here no later than 10 o'clock. Appreciate all the birthday announcements from everybody there. Edge, appreciate you, man. Let's see here. You're having an issue with my Facebook link. Sorry if you already talked about this. What's the issue with the Facebook link, Big Papa? What's happening? Which link? Like you just went to Rock Down Detroit Lions and pressed the live and it didn't work? Or is it stuttering, spinning, buffering? We are streaming to multiple places, so you can always check the Twitter. What's happening, Dwayne King? Good morning. And you can also check where are we at this morning? We're at Twitter, and we're on the second YouTube channel. So the other YouTube channel's Detroit Lions Today, I believe. But if it's buffering, you just got to drop your output to like 720. Which, once I get everything set up again today, the link you provided in your YouTube, connect with us options. Connect with us options. I'm not sure what you mean, man. Under the members only? Can you email me, mailbag@rockdown.com, and send me a picture? I don't know which link you're talking about. Connect with us. Is it in the description? In the main description of the channel, those are not links, but in the like little brief, I guess, if you will. In the description of every channel, of every video and every live, those are actual links. In the description of the channel up top, those are not actual links in the description. But if you roll down and you see the links there, those links are actual. Here, I'll show you. Right here. So this is the channel, right? If you go to this part here where it says credential, Detroit Lions news coverage anchored by, and there's a little more button to the right, which you can't see. When you click that, it kind of gives you description. And then these are not links. Those are just places where you can find me. But then if you roll down, those are actual links. If you're looking for the fantasy football, 2 days ago, right here, there's 2 links here. Those links will get you signed up. Or what the one link will get you signed up. So let me know which link you're talking about. Going camping tomorrow till Sunday. Go and have a great time. Where are you going camping at, Dwayne? Man, I haven't been camping in forever. Last time we went camping was up north. And we went to, I think it was the Manistee area. And it was nothing but rain. Like we had floods coming through and wiping out our entire campsite. I don't like tent camping anyway because I can't. Like my back is so screwed up. I got to have like a perfect situation. Air, like an air mattress. That's why I just need an RV. All right, what else you want to get into today? What else is on your mind? Let's check the mailbox and see if we have any questions in today. Don't forget that you guys can reach out to the channel at 313 Podcast. Leave a voicemail. I haven't figured out which day of the week I'm going to do it yet, but we'll start it next week. Leave us a voicemail on things that you want to talk about your Detroit Lions, and just expect that I'm going to play it on air. You can also text 313 Podcast 763-2278, and I will read your text live on air in that same episode. You can also email mailbag@rockdon.com, and I will read your emails, questions, statements, analysis, whatever it is that you want to share about your Detroit Lions. So I'll do all of that in our weekly show that is all fan-driven. I get a lot of questions every week. I try to respond to them all, but now it's the season, so we're going to turn it into a show. And I would love to get all three of those options working well for us. And then during that show, we'll take some live calls too. And we had a really good one from Attila yesterday. Let's see here. So there was another follow-up article to today's article. And I need to reach out to this guy because he did some really good deep dives on the Lions and on the Lions defense. And I just thought it was incredible work. And I want to share it. I'm rolling through the email now to see what I missed. Tilla Hardy, he put another one in, and let's talk about this one because, we're talking about injuries today. Like injuries are, to start the season once again. And Attila did some groundwork here on AGL. So adjusted games lost by injuries. And over the last 5 seasons, the Lions have been a top 6 injured team. In some years, we were the number 1, number 2, number 3, like tons of injuries, right? Tons of injuries. This is according to Attila. He says in 2025, the Lions ranked 31st at 9-8. The DVOA was 3rd overall in the NFL. So adjusted games lost. First equals least injured, context. 32nd equals most injured. In 2024, the Lions were 25th. The DVOA 2nd. 2023, the Lions were 18th. We finished 12-5, DVOA of 7. In 2022, the Lions were 27th injured team, or 27th worst, right? So what is that? The 5th worst in the league. 9-8. 2021, we were 30th, which meant we were the 2nd most injured team. So let me go through that one more time. 2021, we were 2nd most injured. 2022, we were the 5th most injured. 2023, we were actually the 14th most injured. 2024, we were the 7th most injured. In 2025, we were the second most injured. 2021, we were actually the 3rd most injured, not the 2nd. So he says 2 years ago, the Detroit Lions ranked among the top teams in history in terms of AGL on defense. Last year, it got even worse. The Lions ended the season with 92.7 AGL on defense. That's the second highest total ever measured, behind only the 2021 Jets. Every Super Bowl winning team over the past several seasons finished in the top 6 or better. Detroit's best finish in that stretch is 18th in 2023 when they reached the conference finals. 2025, Seahawks won. They were third. The Patriots were first. 2024, the Eagles were second. The Chiefs were 14th. 2023, the Chiefs were sixth. The 49ers were fourth. 2022, the Chiefs were fourth. The Eagles were third. And in 2021, the Rams were fifth and the Bengals were eighth. And this is great context. Another banger of an email by Attila. Well, the reason why this is so important.
That is a big time stop by that defense.
Or not, right? Because we were so injured, the Lions couldn't advance. But here's why this email is so important. Here's why these numbers are so important. Let me just ask the question. What do you think I'm going to say next? I'm going to leave it there for about 30 seconds. Why is it that these numbers are so important? Let me add some more context to it. Why is it that these numbers are so important, yet the Lions were able to win a lot of games and make the playoffs, right, in 23 and 24, should have made it in 22, should have made it in 25, nowhere close in 21. But why is it that even though we have been one of the most injured teams in the league, how is it that the Lions are able to continue to win games and be a number one competitor for the last many 3 seasons now in the NFL, to win a Super Bowl, to compete for a Super Bowl, to compete deep into the, postseason? Why is it? So what am I going to say next? And I wish I would have had this info. I haven't looked at it in a while. Attila, you're gonna have to let me know where you got all that info, because I haven't looked at it in a while. But it's a narrative that has been spinning in Detroit and for the Detroit Lions fans for the last 3 seasons. The narrative is fire Brad Holmes, right? Fire Aaron Glenn. Calvin Shepard wasn't good enough. That's been the narrative. I'm going to say it, by the uneducated people that don't do research like Attila apparently does. It's by the fans that don't take an interest, probably don't have it, maybe listening to the wrong people giving you the filth and the toxicity. Just because we had a bad year, we lost a game, the defense fell apart, the defense let up too many points, too many explosives. But why and how were the Lions able to win games? When you are that injured, you shouldn't be winning any games. How the hell were they able to do it? And why is it that so many fans and creators and journalists and former journalists, all they do is dump on the Lions? All they do is dump on Brad Holmes. All they do is dump on Aaron Glenn or Calvin Shepard. They're wrong. Here's why. Oh, I love it, Trace. It's because we needed an edge. We did need an edge. You're damn right. We needed an edge. We needed an edge in the front office. And we had an edge. We have an edge in the front office, who's only under contract through next year of 2027. That is the edge that we needed. That is the edge that gave us the ability to win games, to go deep. What is that edge? Brad Holmes. And the scouts. Can't forget about the scouts. The talent acquisition portion of the Lions front office. And there's the coaching. How is it that you're able to take an extremely injured team, missing a lot of players, a lot of starters, and still win games? 2024 was crazy. We started 3 players off someone else's practice squad, or didn't start, but they played that same week. And I forget the game now, which week that was, but we went and kicked the shit out of somebody with those players. And one of those players, I believe it was Miles Adams, I believe had a sack in that game. The answer is this. This is what I was going to say next. When you have a competent GM and a talent acquisition team underneath him, they are able to go out and find the players that give us great depth. I've been saying consistently that the Lions have had a very deep team since 2024. It got even deeper in 2025. Because a lot of the players that we had in 24 that played a lot of snaps while all the other starters were injured and not playing came back. A lot of them came back in 2025. And what happened in 2025? Well, it didn't finish the way we wanted it to. Right? The Lions were the second most injured team once again. We went 15-2 on the backs of our backups. We were playing a lot of third and fourth string players. Players that weren't even on this team the week before. Players that were on practice squads that didn't even play in a game that season. That's not normal. It's not normal to be able, one, to do that, and two, it's not normal to go and win games with those players. But there's a few points. I'm going to have to turn this into an article and a video now, Attila, because it's a great talking point. Without the depth behind the starters, you are nothing. It's expected that you're going to have injuries. You just hope it's not, a freaking virus of injuries that's just, exposing the entire team. But that is what has happened to the Lions. People blame practice. People blame training camp. People blame that the Lions do tackling in practice. Bullshnikes. It has nothing to do with it. The only thing that could lead to, in my opinion, is, you're putting a little bit more wear on your body. You might have a shorter career, but not a shorter season because you did a couple of tackling drills in practice. 14 practices throughout the regular season is all you get in pads. That's not a lot of work. And these are hour-and-a-half practices. I mean, come on, people. An hour and a half. Look, I wake up in the morning, and before I know it, an hour and a half has already clicked off the clock, and I got to go live. I get up at 6. 8 o'clock comes like that. An hour and a half is nothing. 90 minutes? And they're doing stretching and drills. How much contact are they really having? Not much. Now, we don't get to see everything they're doing inside, but a lot of that's install. A lot of that's walkthrough. They're not doing a ton of hitting. But the reason why this was possible is because Brad Holmes was able to facilitate a method, a means to an end, to find the players that they could trust, that Dan Campbell has always said, look, we got 69 guys, we're going to need them all. I hate it when he says that. He better not say it this year because every time he said it, it happens. And we needed more than 69. We needed like 89 players that year. But without Brad Holmes doing his job the way that he has done it, not only in the draft, but the UDFA guys, we seem to always have a UDFA guy that makes the roster every year. And then, the guys that we're bringing in off other people's practice squads, the guys that we're signing after 53-man cuts, the guys that he has set us up with in free agency. That is the reason why the Lions have been able to win an absurd amount of games in the last 4 years. 9-8, 12-5, 15-2, and 9-8. It's a damn good season. It's like 9-8 is not a terrible season. It's just not what we expect. I mean, I think that the Lions should never have less than 10 wins. Never have less. You know how hard it is to win in the NFL? You know how hard it is to go out there and play a third stringer that hasn't even learned your offense or defense? Primarily defense. Our offense has stayed pretty healthy. But aside from the offensive line. But when you have a star-studded offensive line that has now lost Frank Ragnow, Taylor Decker, Graham Glasgow, right, Jonah Williams. I mean, the initial cast of players is gone. You now have one holdover outside of, backup or whatever that's been around. Dan Skipper's not even there anymore. But Penei Sewell's it from the original five. The Fab Five is gone, right? Or the Fantastic Five, whatever you want to call them. They're gone. It's over. And those are pretty special players that we had. Maybe to a lesser degree, Jonah Williams. But without Brad being able to facilitate making the right decisions on which players deserve a shot, and then those players actually working out every year, that is the reason why you're able to have that many injuries and then still go on to win a lot of games. Tell me another team that has gone 15-2, being the seventh most injured team in the league in 2024. Aiden snaps his leg. Alex Anzalone breaks his wrist. Amik Robertson breaks his wrist. Malcolm Rodriguez tears an ACL. Ali McNeil tears, an ACL. I think Malcolm was an Achilles. Massive injuries. You had one guy left on the front seven by week, I think it was 15-16, the Bills game. You had one guy left out of the starting front seven, and that was Jack Campbell. And we have fans complaining? We have fans complaining about Brad Holmes that we're winning games with no starters left? The secondary is all we had, and then Amik Robertson goes out. You expected to beat Washington? I didn't expect to beat Washington. Now, I may have given a great sermon before the game that week. I did see what was going to happen, and I said very definitively, do not blitz this guy. We need nickel. I said that before the game. You can check the receipts for yourself. I said the exact thing that we did against Minnesota, we need to do again. And we didn't. They blitzed ungodly amount of time. I think it was 54% of the snaps. They blitzed. Not just 54% base. They blitzed 54% of snaps in that game. And you wonder why a dual threat mobile quarterback was able to do what he was able to do. You never blitz a guy like that. You just don't. That is why other teams that beat the Washington Commanders that season didn't blitz. They rushed four natural. They played in a comfortable, too high shell. They played a lot of nickel. That is why we lost the game. Yeah, I get it. Jared had some interceptions. There was some poor play calling by Ben Johnson and of course, Aaron Glenn in that game. They were out, man. They were seeing the grass on the other side of the fence. And I'm not trying to rehash the old wounds, but damn, pour some salt in it because Ben Johnson screwed up big time. Big time in the biggest moment. We could have beat the Commanders. We absolutely could have. Had Aaron Glenn not gone into that game thinking that we were going to go be somebody that we're not with the players that we don't have. Brad Holmes gave them everything that they needed. The proof was in the concept. The record was 15-2. The offense was flying high. Great point, Attila. Good research, man. Good job. That's the stuff I'm looking for. Give me some high value analysis. Give me some topics, because now maybe I don't need to do a video. Maybe I just need to go clip everything that I just said. I won't be able to do that right now. Got to do it a little bit later. So that's what I'm looking for. He also sent one in about Eric Hunter, and this one's a little bit longer. I think Eric Hunter has a real shot this year. I think he has a real shot. But I got 5 minutes. There's no way I'm going to be able to get through all this, because this is like, I don't know, 3,000 words or something crazy. So we'll come back to it. I'll flag it. We'll come back to it when we get into our next conversation. Big shout out to this other individual. I'll just say the first name, Caroline. She said, "Hey Will, hope you're doing well. Excited for the season to get going. I've enjoyed your content lately. I really like the segment when you and Eric made your picks for losing record to playoffs pipeline." I'm struggling to remember that segment right now. Anyway, says I struck out on training camp tickets. Disappointing, as we're going to drive up from Virginia and haven't been. But it is what it is, and we'll try again next year. If you do happen to hear of any leads for tickets, could you let me know? Absolutely. I'll let you know. Holding out hope. So I didn't get tickets either. I mean, I got 2 tickets to one date. I know Eric has some tickets. I don't know what he's planning to do with it, but I will see what we can do. I'll see what we can do. All right, that's it for today, man. We're off and running. And it's really day one, but like I said, it's day 2 of updates. And then I'll be back tonight to do another announcement, right? Our training camp announcements. Every day we'll drop in a video. We'll talk about what happened today. If there's any news coming out of camp. Hopefully no injuries, but today it's going to be a light day. I think Dan Campbell said pads don't come on for a few days. He's going to slowly ramp these guys up, get them rolling. He does it every year that way. So next week we should expect a lot of noise when we know that they're going to be in pads. But today's Wednesday. I don't have the schedule. I've got to get into my media portal for the NFL and see if there's an actual schedule in there, because I don't have the damn schedule. And so I don't know exactly which days they're practicing and which days they're not. I don't think anyone's published that. So I've got to figure out what's happening when. But at least every single day that there's practice, there's going to be an announcement. And that I will make sure that I do. I'm out of here. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my day. But honestly, being home alone for the first time in ever. Megan's on vacation in Florida with her son, enjoying Universal Studios. And I'm here with the dog and y'all. But I'll be back later. Appreciate y'all. Go Pride. Go Detroit Lions. We'll see you in the next one, man. Let's get rocking and rolling for the season. Let's have a good one.
The season is here, and you want the latest news and rumors on your Detroit Lions. Head to SportsSpider.com. That's sports, SPYDER.com, where you can get your Lions news and all your sports in one place. Man, this site is packed with your favorite podcasts, live news, articles from local writers, and insiders, all updating in real time. Not just the Lions, every major sports team, including MMA, UFC, and so much more. Don't want to waste time searching? Sign up for free. Create your ultimate sports news hub. You control what hits your feed at SportsSpider, your #1 source for all your sports. Visit SportsSpider.com today, right after the show.